Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reality Sporting World Show. My name is Olua Johnson, and it's great to have you back on the show once again. So, today we're going to be focusing majorly on the weekend preview. Here, we're going to be highlighting all the actions that are upcoming over the weekend, giving you your thoughts, giving you your predictions over these matches, and we're going to be focusing majorly on football and more particularly Premier League. So, we're going to be doing a Premier League preview today where we're going to be talking about the upcoming Premier League matches this weekend. We're going to be seeing how the teams have fared so far this season, and also we're going to give you a chance to send in your predictions. If you are just coming across this channel, kindly like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bells to receive timely updates concerning our content. And without wasting much time, shall we jump into it? So welcome back, everyone, and as I said, we're going to be focusing majorly on the Premier League weekend preview. So we're going to be talking about all the matches from the Premier League this weekend. We're going to be analyzing the two teams that are facing each other, and we're going to be talking about how they fare against each other. We're going to be bringing up some history, if necessary, between the two teams, and as well, we're going to be, asking you guys to drop your predictions, and I'm also going to be making my own personal predictions. So without wasting much time, let's jump straight into the first match of the weekend, and that is Brentford against Manchester United. Now, this is a very, very interesting match, and this is a match between two teams that haven't exactly been firing this season. So Manchester United are on 7 points and Brentford are on 4 points in the Premier League table, and both are 11th and 17th respectively in the Premier League table. And Manchester United will be open, to follow up their 2-1 victory over Chelsea last weekend, with a resounding victory. And they've had, a week rest as well with no Carabao Cup action, and they will be looking to, actually do well, and they'll be looking to, continue, the recent form that they've shown. And Brentford as well will be looking to, get back to winning ways, and they'll be looking to, do better and see themselves have some breathing space around the relegation zone. So it's also going to be an homecoming match for Brian Mbeumo. He's going to be returning to the GTEC Community Stadium, a stadium where he has spent the last few years, playing at, and he has been such an important, figure for them. And I think, for me, he's had a very impressive start to life as Manchester United. And I think, right now, the United attack is so important in the system, it's so important in the way they play. And it seems to be the one that everything does goes through, especially in open play. So who do you think is going to win this football match between Brentford and Manchester United? If you ask me, my prediction would be a 2-all draw. It's going to be a 2-all draw between both teams, because I feel like this is a match that guarantees goals. I think there's going to be goals in that match, and we saw last season as well between Brentford and United. It was a 4-3 match. It's a match that has always been filled with goals, and this is a stadium that has always produced goals as well, especially when they come up against top teams. So do you think Brentford is going to cause an upset at home to Manchester United, or do you think Manchester United is going to win, or do you think it's going to be a stalemate between the two sides, or is going to be a chaotic draw, like a 2-all draw, 3-all draw? So send in your predictions in the comment section, and I'll be there to like them, and I'll also be there to give you the response. So without wasting much time, let's move straight to the next match of the weekend, and that is the 3 p.m. kickoff match. So Brentford and United is an early kickoff match, 12:30, and Chelsea against Brighton is a 3 p.m. kickoff match in the afternoon. And Chelsea, they'll be looking to bounce back from what has been a rough form recently for them. Before the midweek, Carabao Cup comeback win, against Lincoln, they had actually lost, 2 straight games. In fact, they were winless in 3 straight games. Draw against, Brentford, a loss against Bayern in the Champions League, and then a loss against Manchester United at Old Trafford. So Chelsea will be looking to turn, their strides down, and they initially had a very impressive start to the season, but since then it has been all ugly. And I think the fact that European fixtures are coming in as well is becoming more challenging for them. So I think this is a match for them where they will be, hoping to bounce back and get back if they are actually going to keep their title aspirations alive. Because when you look at how Liverpool has gone so far this season, they're already 5 points clear, and these are the Premier League defending champions, and they actually set a very good precedence last season. They were so brilliant, and they followed that up this season, even though the performance hasn't really been there, but at least we are seeing them still moving away So what will then happen when the performance is there? So Chelsea needs to get back to winning ways if they want to keep their title aspirations alive. And this match is very, very important for them. So who do you think is going to win this football match? Do you think Brighton is going to continue, their good form of always upsetting the top teams? We've seen them drawn against Tottenham this season, a match that they should have won. They led 2-0 before Tottenham came back to draw the match. They also defeated, Manchester City earlier this season in the third match of the season. So do you think Brighton can cause an upset like they seem to do against top teams, or do you think Chelsea is going to return back to winning ways in the Premier League? And who do you think is going to win that football match? You can also send your predictions in there. And without wasting much time, let's move straight to the next match of the weekend, and that is Crystal Palace against Liverpool. So Crystal Palace against Liverpool, two teams that have been very, very good this season, and two teams that are unbeaten this season. Crystal Palace are unbeaten in 17 games in all competitions. If we are dating it back from last season, they are unbeaten in their last 17 games in our competition. And they are facing a Liverpool side that are the defending champions, and they've had an 100% record so far this season, even in all competitions. So who do you think is going to win this football match? I think Liverpool are favourites. There's no denying that. But Crystal Palace exactly aren't a pushover. They've always been a tricky team, especially at Selhurst Park. So who do you think is going to win that game? Do you think Liverpool is going to continue their perfect start to the season? Or do you think they're going to be dropping points for the first time this season against Crystal Palace? Or do you think Crystal Palace is going to cause a major upset by getting a victory? To be honest, if either of these things happen, I won't be too surprised, because, we already seen in the Community Shield, that, Liverpool, we saw, Crystal Palace draw against Liverpool in regular time before they went on to win on penalties in the Community Shield. So this is a team that can actually match up on their day against any team in the division. So who do you think is going to win that match? So personally for me, I think Liverpool is going to edge it, but it's not going to be a chaotic fixture. I think it will be probably a 2-1 victory or a 1-0 victory for Liverpool. But I think it's going to be a very tough and a very close encounter. So without wasting much time, let us move straight to Manchester City against Burnley. So Manchester City have found, a good form recently. They've won 3 of their last 4 matches, and it's included victories over Manchester United, Napoli, and of course against Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup. And in between, the Huddersfield, and the Napoli match, they faced Arsenal, which was last weekend, and they drew 1-1 at the Emirates. I think that's a good result for Manchester City, even though you would feel for them considering a late equalizer at the Emirates. But still, it's still a good and solid point for them, considering, how their form was before that particular period. They had actually lost 2 consecutive games, in game week 2 and game week 3, and then they returned back to some decent form. So I think this is an opportunity for them to continue that good form, and of course for Haaland to continue his goal scoring form. He's been scoring goals for fun this season so far, and we saw what he did last season. He has started off in a similar fashion this season. So do you think Haaland is going to continue his goal scoring form against Burnley? Burnley so far this season have been the worst defense in the league, and based on the metrics, they are the team that is most expected to concede the most goals this game week as well, because they are facing Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. Who do you think is going to win this match? I think there's really going to be a split take concerning this. I think most people will be going with Manchester City win, and I myself am not excluded. I think Manchester City is going to win this game convincingly, but Burnley might decide to set up a low block, but I still think it wouldn't be enough for them to actually get something against City. I think City is going to win the football match. I don't know the exact score, but I do think that Manchester City is going to win the match. So what's your prediction? You can drop that in the comment section as well. So without wasting much time, let's also move straight to the other 3 p.m. kickoff matches, and that is Leeds United against Bournemouth. So Leeds United haven't exactly, been firing in terms of attacks, but defensively they haven't been too bad as well. And it's been the case with all the newly promoted teams this season. They've actually been very, very good, and to my surprise, they've actually been very impressive. And after 5 match days, none of the newly promoted teams are still in the relegation zone. None of them are in the relegation zone. In fact, out of the 3 promoted teams, the ones with the worst positioned is Burnley, and they are 16th on the table. That is pretty impressive, compared to the last 2 seasons where the ones that have come in as promoted teams actually went back as relegated teams. For this season seems to be different, and this team seems to be setting up defensively, to not lose as many matches as possible, which is for me is a good approach, because we've always seen the past, newly promoted teams trying to match up with, the already established teams, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot. But so far this season, these new teams seems to have learned a lot of lessons, and they've been very, very impressive so far. So, do you think Leeds is going to get something against Bournemouth? And Bournemouth have been in good form as well. They are fourth on the table. They've got 10 points from 5 matches as well, and they've been scoring goals, and they have actually been defending very well. They are a very good tactically run team under Andoni Iraola. Do you think they're going to win away at Leeds? Or do you think Leeds is going to cause a surprising shock? Or do you think it's going to be a victory for Leeds at home at Helland Road? So who do you think is going to win this fixture? Like I said, drop your comments on this in the comments, drop your predictions at the comment section, and I'll be there to like and subscribe. If you're enjoying this video so far, kindly give it a like, kindly give it a share, and as well, you can share the link to other people so that they can join and not miss out on our content. So without wasting time, let us move straight to the next match, and that is the 5:30 p.m. match between Nottingham Forest and Sunderland. Nottingham Forest, they haven't, exactly been the team that we would expect them to be. And plus, there have been, a change in management as well. Nuno Espirito Santo, surprisingly, was sacked recently, and Ange Postecoglou has come in, and since then, he hasn't actually won any match in all competitions. And they just blew away a 2-1 lead as well in the Europa League midweek. So, this is a team that isn't exactly in good form right now, and they are 15th on the table. They are 8 places below Sunderland. Sunderland have been very impressive this season. They've been good defensively this season, and we've got a very good goalkeeper and a very good defense. And they've actually invested really well. So it's no surprise that they are 7th, but when you look at the history of the promoted teams, like I touched on the other times, you will see that it's always been the same story. Come back to the Premier League and then go back to the Championship. But so far this season, this newly promoted team seems to be taking it in a different direction. They seem to be taking that team seriously, that this time is not going to be us. It's going to be one of the established teams. And so far, it's looking like it. So who do you think is going to win this match? Nottingham Forest are at home, and they will be looking to get back to winning ways, to be able to get some form. Because to be honest, they've been winless under the new manager, and this is an opportunity for them to win. I still see them as favourites. I think they are most likely to win the game ahead of Sunderland. Sunderland have been good, no disrespect to them, but I still think Nottingham Forest will edge it. So it's going to be a narrow win for me. So drop your predictions there. And the last match of Saturday, is Spurs against Wolves. And Wolves, for me, they've been the worst team in the Premier League this season. And no one would have expected that, considering how they ended last season so well under Victor Pereira. But then they've lost, their creative cogs. They've lost the likes of Matheus Cunha. They've lost the likes of Ryan Aït-Nouri. These players have been very important in the way they build up, in the way they score goals and create chances, and they've been feeling it. And Strand Larsen hasn't exactly been fit this season as well. Who was their top goal scorer in the Premier League last season with 14 goals? Or who was their second top goal scorer in the Premier League with 14 goals last season? So Strand Larsen hasn't really been fit. They've lost Cunha, they've lost Aït-Nouri, so that has really, really affected them. And they haven't had a single point. They are the only team in the Premier League this season that hasn't had a single point. They haven't won, neither have they drawn. So it has been a really, really tough start, to the season for Wolves. And seeing that their manager also recently signed a new contract, you will be surprised as to why the decision was taken. But then the pressure is on them right now. They are not exactly firing. But do you think they're going to turn tides around? I think we've seen them do that in recent seasons, when they start the season and look like the team that will relegate, and then they go on, to turn their tides, and then they go on some very, very good streak and just do enough to avoid relegation. So who do you think is going to win the match? I think Tottenham are favourites. They've been a very good team. They are in the top 3. They've got 10 points from the opening 5 games, the same points as Arsenal, and one lesser goal difference than Arsenal as well. So Tottenham has been impressive this season under Thomas Frank, and much better than they were last season under Ange in the league. And I expect them to win that match. I think it will be a comfortable win for Tottenham, but you can never know. This is the Premier League. Wolves will want to get back to form, and they could use any match to do that. So those are the Saturday matches. Brentford against Manchester United in the early kickoff, Chelsea against Brighton in the 3 p.m. kickoff, also featuring Crystal Palace against Liverpool, Leeds against Bournemouth, Manchester City against Burnley, Nottingham Forest against Sunderland in the 5:30 p.m. kickoff match, and then the last game of the day on Saturday, which is Spurs at home to Wolves. So we move straight to the Sunday matches. And once again, if you are coming across this video and you like the content so far and you are enjoying the video, kindly give it a like, kindly give it a share, and I'll really, really appreciate in the comment section. So Let's move straight to the Sunday matches, and the first match of the day is the 2 p.m. kickoff match between Aston Villa and Fulham. So, Aston Villa, they are currently in the relegation zone. They are yet to win a match this season. They've only scored one goal this season, and they are on 3 points. They are 18th on the table. This is a team that were very, very good last season. This is a team that defeated PSG at home in the Champions League last season. This is a team that finished in the European places last season, but it has been a total contrast to what they were last season. And Oli Watkins, Morgan Rogers, and some other key players that have been off fit this season, they've been very, very horrible. Although last night they got their first win of the season in all competitions in the Europa League with a 1-0 victory over Bologna, but it wasn't exactly a confident striking match for Watkins. It came on, won a penalty, took the penalty, and then missed it. So he's not exactly on confidence. And Morgan Rogers as well, he was so poor last night that even when he made a successful pass in the 88 minutes, the Villa fans were actually cheering him. Just for you to show how poor he was really, really struggling to make anything happen in that match. And it has been the case with him all season so far. So what do you think is happening to Aston Villa? Do you think Unai Emery has lost the dressing room? Or do you think that his tactics are outdated? Or do you think that, last season's fatigue is catching up with them? Or what do you think could be the reason for Aston Villa's dip in form? But this is an opportunity for them to get back to form at home against the Fulham side, who have actually been very good this season. They've got 8 points from the opening 5 games. Fulham are 8th in the Premier League table, 10 places ahead of Aston Villa, but Aston Villa are at home. Who do you think is going to win that match? I think this match is a match that can easily go either way. Aston Villa can win, Fulham can win, and it can even be a draw match, because Aston Villa on their day at home, they are a very, very good team. This is a very, very good team on their day. Let's not forget. I don't think that the early season struggles is going to change our opinion too much about them. So who do you think is going to win that match? Kindly drop your predictions in the comments below as well. So I will go to the Super Sunday match, and that is the last and the second match on Sunday. That is Newcastle United against Arsenal. So the two teams that have been defensively astute this season are Newcastle United and Arsenal. Newcastle United have kept 4 clean sheets in 5 games. They haven't conceded in 4 games this season. And Arsenal, they have also kept 3 clean sheets in 5 games this season. And both teams have each only conceded 2 goals after the opening 5 matches. This is pretty impressive. I think this is making out to be a very, very tight shot match. I think it will be a low-scoring game. Yeah, I think it will be a low-scoring game because when you look at, it's not just about the defensive display so far this season. We also look at the attacking prowess. You will see that both teams haven't exactly been firing so well. And obviously, Newcastle have lost Isaac. And Nick Wout-Malde is still trying to, settle into a new league. And Johan Vissa, who was the second striker they signed, who probably would have made a better adaptation so far, is also out injured and out for some weeks. So Nick Wout-Malde is there, but the attack hasn't exactly been firing this season. The same for Arsenal, you could say. I think Arsenal, they are not yet at their full flow, but defensively, both teams have been very sound. So who do you think is going to win this match? Again, like the Aston Villa and Fulham game, I think this is a match that can easily go either way. So I think it could be a 1-0 victory in favor of either side. It could even be a stalemate, but I most likely think it will be a very low scoring fixture. I don't think it will be a chaotic game because Arsenal in this kind of matches, Mikel Arteta doesn't like to play a chaotic game. He always looks for control and then finds one opportunity to try and hurt the opponent. I think that will be the way Arsenal will play. But Newcastle United at home, they are a very good match against any opposition. So who do you think is going to win this match? It's a Super Sunday clash. It's probably the biggest matchup of the weekend. So who do you think is going to win this match? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this video so far, you haven't given this video a like, kindly give it a like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications as well to receive subsequent updates concerning our content. So without wasting much time, let's move straight to the last match of the weekend. So it is Everton against West Ham United. Is a Monday night football match, yes, and an 8 p.m. kickoff match. So Everton, they've actually been in very good form. They are 10th on the table. They've strengthened so far well this summer. And West Ham, they've been really, really struggling, and Graham Potter is under pressure. In fact, there are news that West Ham United, they actually plan to keep Graham Potter till the international break, and then they get rid of him. I think we have been seeing different sources posting that. We don't know how true it is, we don't know how credible it is, but we cannot deny the fact that he is under serious pressure. He's been really, really struggling. This is a team that we know that they have the quality, they have the players that can do well, but they haven't exactly been firing. They've been struggling, and they are 19th on the table. They've only had 3 points from the opening 5 matches, and that was the 3-0 victory away at Forest. 3 late goals, and they won the game. But aside that, they've been very very, very terrible. And this is a team that has been very weak from set pieces. They'll be coming up against the likes of O'Brien. They'll be coming up against the likes of Tarkowski, who are area monsters. And I think they will struggle again in that part. So who do you think is going to win this match? Everton are at home. They are in decent form. 7 points from the opening 5 matches. 10th on the Premier League table. 9 places above West Ham United. You would expect them to win at home. And they will also want to keep up momentum as well. But then, this is the kind of match where anyone can easily win. It can go either way. Like, no one expected West Ham to go and beat Nottingham Forest at home under Nuno then, and we could see them cause an upset again against Everton. And this is a team that was previously managed by David Moyes, who is now the current Everton manager. So West Ham United will be looking to use what they've learned under Moyes to actually hurt Everton. But then this is a different Everton team, and they are playing a different brand of football under David Moyes. So who do you think is going to win this football match? You can drop your predictions in the comment below. Drop your predictions for all the matches that you are very, very confident about. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. So this makes up our Premier League preview for the weekend. On Mondays, we're going to be giving you the review or a recap of what has happened over the weekend. And once again, I'm going to give you a quick highlight of the Premier League matches this weekend. So Brentford against Manchester United at the GTEC Community Stadium, 12:30 p.m. kickoff match on Saturday. Chelsea against Brighton, 3 p.m. kickoff match. Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Crystal Palace at home to Liverpool. Leeds at home to Bournemouth. Manchester City at home to Burnley. And then the 5:30 p.m. match. Nottingham Forest at home to Sunderland. Spurs at home to Wolves.